Yeah, everyone, good evening. I hope you all are doing good. Yeah, quick attendance before we start. Yeah, good evening, good evening. Anshika, Vriti, Dheeraj, Yukti, Khushbu, Uttam, Shalini. Okay, who all are from Titan 1.0? And who all are from 2.0? Please mark 2.0 as well. 1.0 and 2.0, both are here. Yeah, good evening, good evening. Okay, great. So let's start our discussion. So till now, we had taken a detour, right? And we were talking about the philosophy. So there was a chaos zone, and we were talking about what all philosophies were there, which actually shaped our thought process, architecture, culture later on. Now we are back on the timeline. Okay, so now we are back on Mahajanpada. So quick, you can say revision of what we had seen before. Oh, no, good. Okay, and good. Okay. So what we were discussing at around 500 BC, we realized that there was a chaos zone, right? And there was, you can say, introspection. There were so many scholars, researchers, right, who came up with so many philosophies, right? And there we realized that two philosophies, Buddhism and Jainism, dominated. Now we understand what are those philosophies. Now let's get back to our timeline. Before we embark on the timeline of the mission, let's talk about Ajivikas. Ajivikas. The founder of Ajivika, the main founder of Ajivika, is Makkali Goshala. Makkali Goshala. And we had heard about him while we were talking about Vardhaman Mahavir. He was a friend of Vardhaman Mahavir, right? They were Yeah, they were the, you can say, they were researching together. So Ajivika, only thing you need to understand about Ajivika, that they believe in destiny. They believe in niyati. Right? For them, it's like it's already decided. Right? It's already decided. What will happen with someone. Right? It's already written in your, you can say, in your destiny, or your future is always decided. It is irrelevant. Basically, the karma is irrelevant. Whatever you do, right, will hardly make any change. So what they used to do, Ajivika saints, what they used to do, because they understand that they can't do anything as per the Ajivika, they can't do anything. It's all decided. So what they used to do, they used to meditate. Right? They used to pass the rest of their life meditation. Rishabh of Jain philosophy related with Rigveda. Yeah, his name is there in Rigveda. So can it be said that Vedic era and Jainism time period? What is the question? Vedic era and the Jainism time period. So it is mentioned in Rigveda. So yeah, so we cannot comment upon the time period. He must be connected to Rigvedic era or the prior to Rigvedic era somewhere, and that is the reason we say that Rishabh Dev must be, or the Jainism is older than Brahmanism. It is believed so. It is claimed so, right? And but we are not very sure. Also, again, I'm not saying that it is true, but there is always a possibility that you write a story based upon true name, and later on it seems like that is a true story. Think about the statement, right? Based on true. For example, I'll give you one example. How many of you heard of Dracula? Vlad Dracula. Do you know Dracula? Ever heard of this saint? Yeah, ever heard of this sage, Vlad Dracula? Okay, so Vlad Dracula, as we understand, is a vampire, right? But Vlad Dracula in real life is actually feudal lord of Muhammad, right? Muhammad is the king of Ottoman Empire. Yeah, he was brutal, very brutal, very brutal. Right, very brutal. So over, because of such brutal stories, right? We made a novel on him, which is which shows him as a vampire, who can suck blood, who can have bats and everything, right? Who can fly and kill people, like something like that. But that's a fictional story. Now, what we understand, it looks like when many of you will think that Vlad Dracula is a fictional character. No, he's not a fictional character. Right? This is based upon the whole story is based upon a real character, right? And if you get to know the Vlad Dracula is real, you might think that this is the story of Vlad Dracula only. So sometimes what happens that the story based on the real character later on can be confusing, right? Can be confusing. I'm not saying this applies on our previous discussion, but you can take a cue from it. Okay, anyway, I hope you got that. So okay. So anyway, let's focus over here. So now Ajivika is another heterodox sect. Just like Buddhism, Jainism, we have one more sect, Ajivika. Very small sect. Only person associated with Ajivika, only famous king associated with Ajivika is Bindusara, father of Ashoka. Right. Also in the last slide, yesterday's slides, in the end there is a self-assessment, or basically it's not self-assessment but self-study, where I have mentioned few more founders and the philosophy. Right, just go through it once. You don't have to mug it up. You don't have to understand. Just go through that part once. Okay. Anyway, let's continue with our discussion. So yeah, so now we have finished this discussion, philosophy discussion, and now we are going back to so our previous story, which was 1500 BC, Rigveda, Rigvedic era, 1000 BC, later Vedic era, right, and 500 BC, Mahajanpadas, right, and this will go till 325 BCE, right, 325 BCE. Okay, so now let's compare again. What's happening? What are the differences? Basically, new things over here. So we realize that this era, can you all comment? The chat is still on, and you need to tell what all things or what all traits were there. So we realize that initially, Aryans came here. Initially, they all were here in the Sapta Sindhu region, but later on, they have penetrated, right? They have penetrated into Ganga Jamna. So in Mahajanpadas, what we'll find that now this is the zone they have settled for. Yeah, so now there's a spread. They have already settled because at this point they all were pastoral, and then they have shifted to a new economy which was agriculture. Additionally, they found iron. Yeah, here they were pastoral and nomadic, and here we realized that they were settling down. So we find settlements. Right, here we're not talking about potteries, but here we said that they are having PGW. But in Mahajanpadas, now it will be upgraded. It will be northern black polished ware. Right, we'll get back to it. What are things are there in Mahajanpadas? But one thing which we had to discuss that later Vedic era is technically, transition. Right, it's transition. Here, if the king is Raju, right, now the time has come where he will become gentleman or a proper king. Right, he is the powerful king which we were looking for. Yeah, right, great. So here it was domestication of animal. Here also there will be domestication of animal along with the agriculture, right? And now we will also see trade over here. And most importantly, this is the era where from pastoral to agriculture to trade. So technically, this is the zone where we find urbanization. Is this the first time we are observing urbanization ever? Yeah, is this the first urbanization? Yeah, it's second urbanization. So this is second urbanization. First was industrial civilization. Other than that, we will find rise of states. There will be states. States actually Mahajanpadas are the states. So let's deep dive into urbanization. Okay, great, awesome. Very good. Okay, so let's continue with our discussion. So now we are entering Mahajanpadas. So now the time has come that Raju will become gentleman, right? Okay, Mahajanpadas. So at this point, 500 BC, we will observe that there are so many states, right? There are states now. Every state will have a king, will have an army. For example, there is Magad. So Magad will have a king. Magad will have proper, bureaucracy, officers. Magad will have army. Then there is another state, Champa, Vriji, Malla, Koshala, Kashi, Vatsa, Chedi, Kurusena, Panchal, Kuru, Matsya, Avanti, Ashaka, Asmaka, and here towards Afghanistan we have Gandhara, we have Kamboj. Right, Gandhara and Kamboj. Total 16 states, we know about. Total 16 states. And it was mentioned in one of your books, Anguttara Nikaya. Right, while we were discussing Buddhism, right, we had seen Anguttara Nikaya. There also it was mentioned that this is the book which tells us that there were 16 Mahajanpadas. Right, but how? Let's talk about that. Now, for creation of states, or let's not say states, for creation of urbanization, you can make this flowchart with me. Right, in bracket I'm writing state. So for the creation of urbanization, for creation of urban center, okay, for creation of urban center, our previous knowledge says that this requires some agricultural surplus. Yeah, right. This is basic, right? We need some agricultural surplus over here, and this agricultural surplus can only and only come if we have a strong rural base. Right. So this can happen. Urbanization, this kind of urbanization can happen. We can have states, we can have urban centers if we have agricultural surplus. That's the basic we know this part. How or why. Right. Now agricultural surplus can only be there if there is a strong rural base. So what is happening in this era, in this transition phase, or basically in the end, there are two things. First, by the time we reach over here, we have figured out two things. Now there are better agricultural technology like Shali. Right. Another thing is now we can make better iron tools. Why? We have figured out low carbon steel. Right, we have figured out low carbon steel, and also we have found amazing iron ore in this area, Chota Nagpur Plateau. Right, Chota Nagpur Plateau. If you have studied geography, then you know that this area is known for coal, iron, and all. So yeah, here we have found great iron ore, right? Amazing strong iron ore. So now we are able to produce much better weapons, tools, plus Shali, plus now we are also using iron plowshare. Understood? Iron plowshare. So now again coming back. So this whole thing is enhanced by basically agricultural surplus is there because we have Shali, we have low carbon steel. So better weapons, better tool, plus agriculture side only. We have iron plowshare. Now first thing is what is Shali? Shali is technically transplantation of rice. Right. So as we are going in this direction, now we are more dependent on rice. Right, in later Vedic era also, we have realized that the importance of rice was increasing. Right, so now we are growing more rice. Now, with the time we figured out that what we can do, we can grow rice, in first instance. We can, sow seed and all. But all the seeds will not give, or basically all the seeds will not be successful. So we can take out these plants, and then we can put in some, once they have grown a bit, we can put it in another field. Right, so first there is a treatment in the first field where you sow the seed and try to have, crop, and then you pluck it out and put it in other watered field in a proper fashion. This method is technically transplantation of rice. Right, so this is transplantation of rice. Transplantation of rice, and it is termed as Shali in the literature which we have. Right, the transplantation of rice has been mentioned, and now we know Shali. So now because of this, better technique of rice production, also our dependency on rice has increased much more, and also now the production of crop also has increased. Right, so now we have this agricultural surplus because we have Shali, a new technique, plus we have iron plowshare, so now it's more productive. Plus we have low carbon steel, so all the iron we have is much stronger than the previous one. So this is creating a condition where we can have agricultural surplus. Now again, now this is supported by the strong rural base. All these things are happening because we have a strong rural base. Now again we find three types of villages over here. three types of villages. So this rural base is technically what? Villages. Right. Now, here, suppose this is your one urban center, Rajgir, or let's say Kashi. Right, this is urban center, Kashi. Now, there will be some villages close to Kashi. I think we have discussed this earlier as well. Right, some villages close to Kashi, these villages will be inhabited by generally artisans. Right, generally people who provide service to the service or some crops like vegetables, milk, all these things to the urban center. So mostly artisans, like for example, chariot maker. It is more like today you might have observed that the service station, right, or you can say Maruti service station, big service station, they are towards the exterior of the city, right? They are towards almost outside of the city. They are on the fringe of the city. So this is similar. That the chariot maker will have his workshop outside of the city. There he can expand all his tools and all. He can have so many chariots, standing there. He can work upon the chariots, right? So chariots then work cars today, right? Like we have cars today. They had chariot then. So chariot maker shop or workshop you'll find it is slightly outside of the city. So technically, first type of village we are talking about is suburban. Suburban villages. These are generally inhabited by artisans. Right? Now, second type of village is basically normal village. For example, let's say there are so many villages far from the state. There are so many villages. In center, all the houses are there, or there are houses in center. Right, and outside they have fields. Right, and they are into like crop production. They will mostly like produce. They will be mostly producing rice or sugarcane, etc., etc. Most importantly, rice and sugarcane. Right. Also, we'll be having some head over here. Head of the village. Head of the village generally called as Bhojaka or Gamini. Right, similar names. Yes. Now the things have changed. Now Kashi also has a king. Right, Kashi has a king. Kashi has a king who has palaces, who has army, and most importantly, there is a taxation system. Right, and this king of Kashi will have palaces, will have army because now it's powerful. Now he has power. Right, so what he expects? He expects that, sir, you need to give us some tax. So now there are proper tax system. Almost 1/6 of the produce goes as tax. Right, these villages will also provide what? Food, rice or food, agricultural surplus. Plus, additionally, one more thing, let's add over here. In Kashi, you will also find who? These are your merchants. Right, maybe few artisans as well. There you'll find traders. So merchants and traders are also here. Maybe they are, taking something from Kashi and delivering somewhere else. Basically they are going and selling somewhere else. So this trade must be happening maybe, let's say, between Kashi and Takshila. Right, this trade is happening. So we have merchants and traders as well. That is the reason it's a city. City will have king, his whole system, and merchants and traders. Right, again, artisans will not only be chariot maker, but we will also have some artisans like somebody who make pottery, right? Somebody who works upon textiles, somebody who is working on ivory, etc., etc. And all these artisan villages are providing these products for selling to Kashi. Yeah, so this is the ecosystem which is, and even today we are having same ecosystem. It's not like there is something different. It's same. It's right now also same. Suppose this is Lucknow. Lucknow will have offices, will have traders, merchants, right? And they are taking something from Lucknow. For example, close to Lucknow, there will be villages who will be providing what? Maybe chicken ka kapda, right? Chicken clothes. Chicken clothes of Lucknow are very, very famous, right? So these artisans, they will make chicken ka clothes. They will provide it to the merchants over here. They will sell over here, or they will take it to somewhere else and sell. They will trade. Maybe they will bring it to Delhi and sell. Understood? So in this urban center, we can observe what we are finding over here. There are merchants, traders. There may be some artisans inside the city, and there is a whole system of king. His palace, his army, his officers, and now there is a proper taxation system. Now we are saying that there are taxes being collected. Right now, king will say that now you are taking so much, things from here, so you will also have to give something. So they will also pay toll. Yeah, even artisans will have to pay some taxes. Is this making sense? A quick chat, everyone. 30-second chat. Let me know if this is making sense or not. No. We are trying to understand the system. Chat is on, please. Quickly. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. So, yeah, coming back to the types of villages. So yeah, so one was the village which we had, where we had artisans. One is where we have, proper Bhojaka villages of Bhojaka. Right. We understood the whole ecosystem, and then there are third villages. Right. Forest. This forest is still not assimilated. This is yet to be, destroyed, and you need to put agriculture over here. As the population will increase, right, these villages will keep on, expanding, and they will cut forest, and this area will come under village only. Right, earlier villages might have been here. Forest must have been here, but then people settled. People will cut the forest, and will settle here. So gradually, forest is receding. Yeah, forest is receding to the back, to the back. And here also on the border we have some villages. Right, close to the forest, very far from there, and they will be, mostly either tribal or mostly these villages. They will be, nomadic. They might be hunters. Right, might be killing birds and all, and providing that to the people, maybe to the city as well. Or maybe not to the city, maybe here only. So that is the third kind of village, which is still close to the tribal system. Right, which is still, like tribal, and there must be tribals inside. Yeah, that one is the third type of village. The second village what we are finding is the village of Bhojaka, and third one is of hunters. Plus, we are realizing that now they are providing tax to the city, right? Plus, they are not only providing tax to the city, they are also providing labor to the city, right? They are also providing other resources to the city, like food and everything, especially food. Understood? And they are also providing, by the way, market to the city. They will also go to the city and buy something, right? And so yeah, so they are also providing market to the city. Yeah. Okay. Now in the Bhojika part, maybe you can write it here or you can write here as well. You know, Bhojika. Let's talk about Bhojika. He is responsible for tax collection. Right. At local level, he is also responsible to maintain law and order. Right, and it's obvious because he's the head of the village. So suppose there is a small fight or there is minor some issue, some clash between two families, something like that. Right, he should be the one who should take off. Right, it's not like somebody has stolen mango from my orchard, right, from my mango, and now I have to go to Kashi to the king that he has taken 2 mangoes. No, I should not be doing it. I should go to Bhojika that this person has taken 2 mangoes from my orchard. So he will say you give 4 mangoes, you give 4 mangoes back, or he will say that it's okay, it's only 2 mangoes, right, something like that. So Bhojika will be maintaining law and order in this space. Right, plus we will also find, yeah, very important. We will also find that this space, the construction is basically made up of either mud or maximum mud bricks. We still don't find mud bricks, right? So houses are made up of either mud or mud bricks, and even in the city, mud bricks are being used. Mud, M-U-D, right? Okay. Mud bricks are being used for the construction. Other than that, we'll find that these plots have fencing. The agricultural plots have fencing. What does this signify? If there is a plot and it is fenced, it shows that this particular plot till the male, you call it male now, right? In the villages you say male. So till this fence, till this male, it is mine. Right, so now there is a concept of private property because now it is being protected. Right, if it is just allotted to me for, let's say, for the agriculture, Abhishek, this season you cultivate only this much field. I will not spend time in fencing. Right, I have to fence it, and surely only I will be doing cultivation here. Because in the next season, if it is not allotted to me or permanently, right, in the next season what will happen? Maybe somebody else is doing it. Right, so why should I be fencing? I will not fence if it is not mine. So now this fencing also shows that now there is a concept of private property, that this land technically belongs to me. Right, I have that ownership. Second thing, we will also find, now irrigation is there. Irrigation as well. So there are some provisions of irrigation. In fact, you can write irrigation here as well. Right, this will also have what? Agricultural surplus. Right, so now we are realizing that there is a strong village support, there is a strong rural support, a village which can produce a lot of food. It has proper, you can say, a demarcation of the land. There are fenced lands. People are producing rice and other crops over here. They have their houses made up of mud and mud bricks. Private property, now it is marked. Irrigation is also being used. Shali technique we also know. This is also you can write. This also you can write over here. They are resorting to Shali, right? Resorting to iron plowshare. Right, and now the picture, or basically now the this agricultural group or the village is very, very strong and can provide a lot of food to the city. So such clusters, or basically such villages, are the support system of Kashi, are the support system of this urban area, and that's how this urban area is growing. Yeah, coming back. Okay, so agricultural surplus. Now, one thing more I would like to add about. So yeah, so we have discussed the agricultural support. Right, now let's also discuss that this system is being supported by artisans. And we can write it here. Okay, wait. Artisans. Right, let's talk about artisans here. Okay, what you can do in your copy, you can make space over here, right, and write about artisans. Right, village part we have understood. Let's talk about artisans, and then we'll go and we'll discuss more about the state. Okay, so let's talk about artisans. I'm writing it in a new sheet. Artisans. So village part done. Second thing, game changer is now artisans. Now the system demands. The system demands what? Right, we want to go for trade, right? So one thing our prior knowledge says that if I want to go for trade over here, if I want to go for urbanization based upon trade, then what I need? What do I need for trade? Remember, we need products. We need amazing products. So if there are so many artisans, right now, because we have agricultural surplus, so people can go for some other occupation and they are going for a new field, becoming some kind of artisan. And now they are creating products. And now this also signifies that there is some specialization. Right, this is the word I wanted to here, right? That specialization. So now we will be having specialization of the product. Now we'll be creating amazing products, great products. And that is the only reason, only condition. After agricultural surplus, if I can do trade, I can only do trade if I have some great products. Right. So now the products I will be having, for example, again we can write over here. We will be having northern black polished ware, NBPW, amazing pottery. Right, pottery used by rich people. Right, NBPW, black. Again, not comparable to industrial civilization, not better than industrial civilization, but still a rich ware, tableware, where people will be, rich people will be using this NBPW. Other than that, we'll be having textiles. Right, we'll be having ivory, etc., chariots and all. Right, so now we have great products. Additionally, once we have great products, then we can assume that there will be people, there will be businessmen, right, merchants and traders. We have already seen this here, but I just want to segregate. Right, merchants and traders. Now, these merchants and traders, the group of these merchants and traders, they will form group. Right, they form groups. What kind of groups? See, as a group, suppose I'm a small merchant. For example, let's say I deal into milk. Right, I'm a merchant, basically who deals into milk. Now, as a single merchant, I might not be, my whole turnover not be that much. But if I make a group of all the milkmen, right, by creating that group, now I have, you can say, more resources to my disposal. Right, also together we can ask king to make some policy for us. Together we want to invest somewhere. Together we can club our money and we can invest somewhere. Suppose we want to have a common, let's say, a common place where all the animals can be kept. Right, suppose we want to have a policy from the king, something like that. So these guilds will be, you can say, very, very helpful to the merchants, because as a group they will be able to create more things. And suppose we were discussing guild of a milkman, but what if there is a guild of a textile, body, right? Merchants who deal in textiles, merchants who deal in ivory, rich merchants. So those guilds will be, very small. And now this kind of transaction, because now the number of products are increasing, and such kind of transaction, it's tough to carry such kind of transaction by barter system. And we will observe that now there are punch marked coins. So for the first time, we are moving to currency. Right? For the very first time, we will observe that there is currency, there is punch marked coins. This will make the whole transaction much simpler. Right. Second thing, we'll come back to punch marked coin. We'll see how it looks like and everything. Second thing which we have, which actually facilitates the whole system, other than punch marked coin, is writing. For the very first time, we'll start writing things. Right. Now, how writing is helpful. So while we were studying Indus Valley Civilization also, we had discussed this. Once you have writing, you can have records. Right. You can have data. You can codify laws, and so many things. Right, you can make laws, you can write it down, okay, this is a law. Also, you can, have all the data and all. Especially for a good taxation system, you need records. Right, for a proper taxation system, we are collecting taxes from here. We need to note down who has given what, how much money we have collected. Right, so all these things are important. So in this era, the system will have writing, the system will have coinage. Right, and coinage is the first time. We are not seeing coinage in Indus Valley Civilization as well. This is the very first time where we are having writing and coinage. Right? In fact, we will realize that coinage solves one more thing. Coinage solves problem of wages. Now you can easily hire anybody, you can easily hire the whole army, and then you can pay them. Right? It is not like, you are hiring army and now you'll have to give some sack of grains to them. This much salary is these many, this much rice and this much tomato and this much potato. No. That cannot happen. That is not required. Now you can pay wages via punch mark coin. Now one catch over here, that initially, see why I have marked punch mark coin with the guild. Reason, because they are involved with more transaction. So initially the coin will not be issued by king, right? We don't have that, you can say, confirmation. We are not sure that if it was released by king, if it was made by king. No, it was made by a private body, right? So maybe some guild which is very popular, some guild like Paytm, who decides that we will have our own coin system. We'll make it very simple. We'll create the coins of silver and we will use it for transaction. Right? And now, if the guild makes this coin for transaction, it will not be dependent upon a state. It will not be dependent upon boundaries. Right? If this much is, suppose Magad is only this much. So what if I have to take something from here to the other state? Now I have to find how to do this transaction. Right? So instead of Magad issuing coins, we will have guild issuing coins. So initially it's basically guild, like Paytm, like phone, something like that. Then those guilds, they had issued coins. Now you can question, sir, why people will believe in the coins issued by a private company? If Paytm gives me 100 rupees, I will question. Why should I believe that it is 100 rupees? Yeah, fair question. So it must have happened with you that you had gone to buy milk, right? And there was some 10 rupees left, right? You have to take back 10 rupees. Instead of that 10 rupees, he had given you one token, Parchi, right? Wrote 10 rupees on it and gave it to you. And it was fine with you, right? Why it was fine with you? Because you trusted that person. You understand that, and he also understand that he will come back, right? You also know that he will come back for the milk again tomorrow. Okay, so I take this Parchi. Milk business is mostly on Parchi only, right? They give you whole month Parchi, daily you give one Parchi and all. So very common in the urban society. Anyway. This is one factor that they will have trust. They know what they are dealing with. Second factor, it is silver, right? So silver is anyway valuable. This is not token money. This is not on some paper they have written 100 rupees. No, it is 100 rupees of silver. So why will you not believe into it? You will believe into this, right? It's not like you will not believe. You will have that trust. Okay, this is silver. So this is anyway valuable. So no issues like that. So it is actually valuable. So yeah. So now we have guilds. Now we have punch mark coins. We have proper writings. Okay. So last point before we go into presentation. Last point is now we have what? Now we have a king. Proper king. King will have palace. Now king will have his officers. Bureaucracy depends upon how much money he has, that much he will hire. If he has so much money, bigger bureaucracy, right? Larger bureaucratic system. If he's having not much money, less people, right? Similarly, he will have army, standing army now. Earlier we were having army which was mustering. So muster army we had earlier. Now we have standing army, paid properly, wages are given to this standing army, right? Plus additionally, we have a proper taxation system, or you can write better word is fiscal system. How much revenue we have, how much expenditure we have, fiscal system. Okay. So let's go and see how it all looks like. Right. So this is the complete game. Right. We have discussed. I'm writing artisans and merchants over here. Artisans is there, right? In urban center we will have merchants as well. Merchants/traders. Okay. So let's go through the slides and all. See what all we have studied till now. Okay. Yeah. So this is your northern black polish ware, NBPW. Right. It's not as beautiful as we have seen in the Indus Valley Civilization. But now we have such kind of pottery. It is NBPW pottery. Right. So this is the second phase of urbanization. We find such pottery everywhere. All the towns, Kaushambi, Shravasti, Ayodhya, Kapilvastu, etc. Houses, mud brick and wood. We are still not using burnt brick. Right. Second, we have discussed iron came into picture in Shali, rice plantation. And iron is which kind of iron? Low carbon steel. Very strong iron. Low carbon steel. Now both of them have changed the whole system. Low carbon steel. Right. Low carbon steel. So now we have iron plowshare, we now have low carbon steel. Also, we have iron tools from great or basically good ores like Singhbhum, like Mayurbhanj. So now we have figured out great ores of India. We have Mayurbhanj, we have Singhbhum. So now the iron ore, the rich iron ore we have, and we have good supply of iron. We can create a lot of weapons, a lot of tools, and this is actually the base foundation. Right. Then rice gained huge prominence. We understood Shali. Along with that, there is barley, cotton. Cotton is always there. Whether I say it or not, cotton is like always in our blood. Right. So cotton is there, sugarcane, pulses, millets. Additionally, so we are discussing that now. So rural economy we were discussing. It has to be supported by village system, proper village system. The first kind of village we had discussed in Bhojika village. Then there are suburban villages, craft villages and all, who will be providing you products, right? So like carpenters, right? Like chariot makers. They will be close to the system, or basically close to the urban area. Then we had border villages. We have fowlers, bird hunters, so people who hunt, so hunting villages. So three types of villages we have seen. Other than that land, so we have realized that there are cultivable plots, there are fenced, and there are irrigation channels. Also tax 1/6 of the tax we are collecting. Also it is collected by the royal agents. We will have a proper officer who collects the taxes. Right, rich peasants are called as Gahapatis. Gahapati, somebody very rich, Gahapati. Now let's go to town. Rise of town is happening, right? Towns. So town, we will find that king is there. There's a seat of government. One thing. Other than that, we have merchants. There must be few artisans as well. So for example, at Vaishali, we have Sadal Kutta. That this place had 500 potter shop. So now you can imagine if there is a place where there is 500 potter shop, that means you'll be getting great pottery over there, right? That shows specialization of craft. It is not like a mediocre pottery is being made, 500 shops and all mediocre pottery. No, this shows they have practiced a lot. It has become a proper profession, and people would like to love to have such kind of profession. There are 500 shops of pottery. Other than that, we were talking about guilds, right? So even artisans and merchants, they form such guilds, such groups, so that they are much more stronger. Like together they'll be like much more strong. Especially it will help in some policy making. They can go to kings, they can ask for some support, some policy. Suppose I'm a head of the guild, right? Let's say I'm a head of the guild, and I want to trade with Avanti, right? I will go to Magadh King and say that I want to trade with Avanti, and we will give you this much toll, right? By my this trade, you have a lot of tolls, you have a lot of taxes. So estimate is like we'll have, let's say, 5 CR of revenue, and you will have 50 lakhs of taxes from us. You'll be having great huge taxes, but you will have to provide me a safe path to Avanti. If you can ensure that kind of safe path, I can start this business. Now, Avanti, obviously, king of Magadh will also think about that. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Why not? So he can do that. Also, as a group of guild today, if I want to issue a coin, I cannot do it alone. But as a group, maybe I can issue coins. Right? So making guild is super helpful. Now again, guild is something which is basic. Even today we'll be having a group of merchants. Right? There are groups of merchants. For example, every market will have one union of all the shopkeepers. Right? Because together they decide, okay, this mall or these shops will have these features. AC system will be like this. Security system will be like this. So as a group, they decide all these things. So this group is common. Guild. It is not like this is the characteristic of Mahajanpadas. No. In Mahajanpadas, all this has started. This will continue. We continue to have guilds. We continue to have merchants, artisans. This is basic, right? So guild is again basic. A group of merchants in any era will be called as guild. Right? Yeah. So there will be headmen. For example, Vistas or Merchant Street. There is a Merchant Street in Banaras called as Vistas. Okay. Then we were talking about specialization, so like fine textile goods, ivory objects, pottery and all. Plus there will be some intercity trade. Right? Trading has already started because there is a specialization. Now this is coinage, right? For the very first time. Now the photos I have used is the later coin, right? When we have Nanda dynasty. Now this is Achaemenid. This is not India. Right? This is a Achaemenid coin, bent bar. Right? So this shows a coin issued by a king, not by the merchant. But you can understand that similar punch marked coin. Now what is a punch marked coin? Punch marked coin is the basic kind of coin where you just take out a piece of a silver. Right? Suppose this is a piece of silver, and you just put your mark. Punch marked. Right? Slightly you can heat it slightly so that it will not entirely melt, but slightly melt. The top is melt, and then you can put some seal on it. And that becomes your punch marked coin. Right? So you see that in these coins, they have marked punch, elephant or some sign or something like that. So they just punch it. Yeah, this is my coin. This is my symbol. So this is called as punch marked coin. So for the very first time. Now this is not the right example. The photos are not right because this shows Nanda. This shows Achaemenid. But I'm saying in initial stage. Nanda is a big empire. Right? In initial stage, it was not issued by a king, but it was issued by the merchant, by the guilds. Right? Why? Because they were in the need of such kind of things, which will help them with the transaction. Now we have some names like Satmana. Satmana is the biggest coin, silver coin, highest value. Right? Then there is Kashpana. This is the standard silver coin. For example, Satmana is like 2,000 rupees. Biggest note we have, but Kashpana is like 100 rupees, most popular. Maximum in use, right? Silver coins, standard. Then after that we have for smaller transactions. Suppose we want to buy dhania, right? Suppose you want to buy a toffee. You will not give your silver coin for buying toffee. So for such a smaller transaction, we have copper coins. Copper coins of Kakani, Masha. Now highest is Satmana, then Kashpana, then Masha, then Kakani. Masha and Kakani are copper, Satmana and Kashpana are silver. Now you don't have to make calculation. Suppose if you have to buy, let's say 1 kg of paneer, how many Kakani will be there? No, all these calculations are not required. So forget about that. Just remember that highest is Satmana, Kashpana, then Masha, then Kakani. That's it. Don't get into calculation. Okay. So now we have punch marked coin as well, right? So yeah, this is something we were discussing that he might have been issued by some trading groups. Now supported by king, that is a different thing, but might have been issued by the trading group. Understood? Royalty thing, or basically issued by kings, it will be the later phenomena, not the initial phenomena. Again, writing. So yes, we started to write as well. Now when we started to write, we will ensure that we have codification of law, right? So proper compilation of laws and rituals. Now we have bookkeeping. Now we are actually noting down everything, what's happening, what's not. So if it is related to trade, it has to be related. If it is related to tax, it has to be noted down, right? And now you are paying to a large professional army. You need to note on every month, 30th of this month, to Abhishek Srivastava, I have given 100 rupees. That wages and everything has to be noted down. Right? Now we are also having other books now, like Sulva Sutra, measurement, a book related to measurement. How much big field to how much tax you should give. All that type of calculation, etc. has been started. Right? The writing is actually, you can say, very much required. It's a base of organization because the number of data points or the number of, you can say, transactions or the number of things are so many, and it cannot be based upon memory. You will have to note it down so that everybody can refer in future, so that everybody understands what's happening. Right? Suppose if there is no law book, it will be dependent upon whims and fancies of the people. Right? And so you need such law books and all, which will tell you what is right, what is wrong. Also, one more thing. We'll come back to this point, but yeah. So now, we were talking about legal, codification of law. So now we have Dharma Sutras. Right, now we have Dharma Sutras. So we were already studying Dharma Sutra while we were talking about Vedic literature. Right, so now these Dharma Sutras, like Manu Smriti and all, so now these are being written down and they are mostly based upon Varna system. If it is based upon Varna system, so from here you can understand that the issues of Varna will start. The hierarchy issue, oppression of the Shudras, right, disability, etc., which will be imposed upon Shudras. For example, they cannot have equal religious and legal rights. Right, they will be at the lowest position. Upanayana Sanskar, no. Right, Gayatri Mantra, no. If there is a crime committed against Shudra, it will be very lightly treated. That it is against Shudra is okay. Right, but if there is a crime committed by Shudra, it will be very heavily treated. Right, how a Shudra can commit a crime? Right, he should be heavily punished. So now we are realizing that this codification of law based on the Varna system will be the start of the issues, the rigid issues faced by the Varna system, or basically Shudras. Okay, so here punishment, you will find that in this era, punishment is mostly based upon revenge. If he has taken 2 mangoes from you, you should give 2 mangoes back, right? Something like that. Right, same thing. If he has destroyed your field, you go and destroy his field. Something like that. So idea was based upon revenge, eye for an eye. Understood? Right. Other than Vedic rituals, other than the ideas from the Vedic books, we also considered in the law system, we also considered the customs and traditions of those who were being assimilated into the society, right? So suppose there is a forest and a new society is being assimilated, so their custom, their rituals will also be taken into account, right? So not always, but yeah, mostly. Yeah, so this was the whole system. No, wait. Let's get back. So we're discussing writing, right? After that, administrative system. So now in the administrative system, now we are realizing, and now there is a king, and most importantly, now no doubt that he is hereditary. You cannot remove a king. This king is mostly a warlord. He's somebody who has standing army outside. Let's say I have 10,000 people standing outside my door, right, ready for my command. Don't you think it's a resource for me? It's a power I have, right? And I also need to use this power. Otherwise, why am I paying to them? It will not make sense having all of them outside my room, right? And they are all practicing for the whole year and they have done nothing. I needed to do something. I needed to use them in a way so that at least this expenditure becomes profitable. So what I can do, I can attack my neighbor. I'll attack my neighbor. I'll have all the money of the neighbor. That's how I will expand. I will have more army, right? I will have more army. I'll attack the other neighbor, right? And then I will expand. So this is the ever-going process. So technically, this king is a warlord. And technically, that is the reason, right? Think like a king. And if you think like a king, you realize that you have one team for which you are spending, let's say, 10,000 CR today, in today's context. 10,000 CR, basically 100 CR, let's say 100 CR. You're spending 100 CR on this team, right? And he's part of the revenue system, right? He is basically a grant or basically a load on the exchequer, right? You're paying them like 100 CR. So you need to use them in a way to ensure that you get 150 CR out of them. Otherwise, you are just draining your money. So it is important to fight. It is important to expand, right? Because expansion will actually increase my potential. Expansion will actually increase my revenue. More I expand, more villages come under my ambit. I will have more taxes from it. So why not? So technically, the kings, and that's the case always, right? So technically, a king is a warlord, right? They need to, they have to take this gamble. They have to fight. Yeah, like Ajatshatru, like Bimbisara. So we'll see them. Now we have, we have higher officials called as Mahamatras. Who are these higher officials? Now for different purposes. For example, somebody is hired for tax collection. Somebody is hired as a Senan. Somebody is hired as a Purohit. Somebody is hired as the Bali Sadhak. Understood? So now we have bureaucracy coming in, depending upon how much big state is, depending upon how much money I have in my pocket, how much deep pocket I have, right? Accordingly, I have officers hired, right? Minister, commander, judge. Now I have codification of law. So see, they have judge as well. They have number of ministers. Somebody looking into irrigation. Somebody looking into agriculture, right? And somebody looking into maybe Department of Military, something like that. So now it's there. Gamini is the head of the tax, head of the village, collecting taxes and all. We have already seen. So now there is a proper administrative system. Now there is proper taxation, right? So now in taxation we saw that around 1/6 has been is the tax rate or the tax share of the state in the villages. Every village or every farmer has to pay 1/6 of the produce to the state. It is mandatory. It is not like it is voluntary. It's on my wish. No, you can't. You have to pay 1/6. So now the systems have changed. Now there is nothing like voluntary taxes and all. There is like pure mandatory tax, right? So we have found such hoards of Panchmal coins, right? Archaeologically we have found such by excavation we have found such coins, right? Plus also it is not necessary that I can always collect in cash. I can always collect in I can also collect in kind. Some peasants who are not able to sell, they can also give 1/6 of the produce rather than saying it in giving it in cash. I can give in kind. So kind is also a possibility. In fact, artisans. So peasants and artisans. So peasants are paying like 1/6. Similarly, they can pay tax. Or there is also one concept of, and it is applicable on peasants and artisans both, of forced labor. Forced labor. Right? So for example, a chariot maker, so you will be working 6 days for yourself and 1 day for the king. Will he be paid for it? No. But is this money? Yes. So instead of paying via cash, you can also work and pay. You can pay via work. So kind payment is also possible by artisan. Kind payment is also possible by the peasant. Kind payment, you understand, right? One is cash and one is kind. Cash is your cash. Kind is you give maybe some product or you work, right? In both the cases it is kind. So peasant can pay kind by giving 1/6 of whatever they have produced, or they can sell it and pay cash. Whatever works. Both are okay, both are fine. What is preferable? Of course, cash. In any day, right? Preferable is cash. But if it is not possible, it's a very, you can say, rural, remote village, very, very far, right? And they are not worried about it. They don't have any means to sell it to center. Anyway, so what we can do, what the state can do, they can have, okay, give us food or give us crops. It is fine, right? So cash and kind both are allowed. Plus forced labor, we have discussed. So taxation system. So this, yeah. So earlier it was called as Bali, right? Now it is not, voluntary. It is mandatory. And now there are proper officers, Bali Sadhak, who will do this. Okay, so yeah, so artisans and traders are also paying taxes. Artisans will be made to work for a day in a month, not a week, but in a month, and they will not be paid for it. Right? Similarly, traders will be paying custom. Right? There will be proper Shulkadhyaksh who will collect tolls. So there are officers for collecting toll as well. Right? Army. Yeah. So we are discussing that there will be standing army. Now in this standing army, the horse chariots are not important anymore. Right? Instead, as we are moving towards Bihar, elephants are getting important. We found that elephants, they're very, very strong. If you release 10 elephants on the on the opposite army, that they can destroy a lot of people. Right? Even horses cannot do anything against them. Right? So elephant became super important, very, very important. They were paid by the exchequer. Yes, they were paid by the exchequer, heavily paid. And if they had very, very large army, this also means that they have a very deep pocket. Obviously, they have a lot of money. Right? They can afford to have such a large army. Yeah. So social order and legislation we have already seen. So yeah, so we are done with the states. Again, coming back to the initial discussion. So now you understand that we were discussing that there is a strong rural base. So this is the basically you can say the summary of whatever we have studied now. Right. So yeah, so strong rural base, 3 types of villages we have seen: suburban, Bhojak, hunters. We realized that the Bhojak village, it has fencing, it has mandalik, it has private property, irrigation. Head is Bhojaka. Right. He does the tax collection, he looks into law and order. Third type of village is hunters. They are hunters of fowlers, they kill birds or animals. Right. This production is good because we have shali, we have iron crusher, right, and that is the reason, along with irrigation, that is the reason we have good production. Rice and sugarcane are the important crops over here. And now they are paying taxes 1/6. They can also pay in cash or time. Right. Other than that, we discuss artisans, various kinds of artisans: chariot maker, carpenter, pottery, textiles, ivory. Right. Even artisans, they will also be paying taxes. Right. Or 1 day in a month. So technically it is called as forced labor. right? They can also pay tax, and merchants and traders technically custom to tolls. Right, so they were paying tolls. We saw that products and all, we have specialization of product. Other than that, guild. So we discussed why the guild is important. What is the guild? Also, the punch mark coin is a new thing. We have coin system which will help the whole transaction. There is so much transaction now, so it cannot be done via barter system. We need punch mark coins for this kind of transaction. Right. Also, wages and all you have to pay, so you need punch mark coins. So this whole army will be paid by the punch mark coins. Second, writing. So writing has come. So it will solve so many things of urban system, like records, data keeping, like law keeping. All these things can be easily done. Okay, so other than that, we discussed king. King now has palaces. He has Mahamatras officers. He has a proper standing army. He has a proper fiscal system. Right now, he is super strong. Now we understood that he can expand. He has that power and will to expand to attack on the neighbors. Other than that, writing and coinage is something which is supporting the whole urban state. So this is Mahajanpadas, right? Are we all aligned till this point? Yeah, quick chat. Of course, why not? Let's go into that story now. Is there any fighting? Is there any action? So let's go into action part. Did hunting villages pay taxes? Mostly no. No, there is no proper production. Right now, it's not like also it's like how many birds you have killed this year. Tough to say, right? Tough to figure out. So it's tough basically to figure that out. Okay, great. Let's go ahead. So now, election away. When is the election? Right? Why this question is coming? They are innocent citizens. Right? They are saying that now king is super powerful. Right? King position is hereditary. Now, is their opinion important? We'll find out. Earlier there was Sabha and Samiti. Remember? Sabha, Samiti. Right? Now they are on the paper. It's written in the documents that Prajapati has two daughters. One is Sabha, one is Samiti. Also the idea, basically the reason given behind not conducting election is, first of all, king is very powerful, you can't challenge him. Second reason is that now the empire is very, very big. It is not possible to conduct election. So just to save money, ensure things are fine and everything, right? So because it is not possible to have such kind of elections, it's a very, very big state. So instead, we will have something like monthly parishad, council. So this is the condition of 16 Mahajanpadas. Right, but there are some states who are called as Ganasangha. Right, republics. There are still some Ganasangha republics, and these are basically in the either in this area or in the Himalayan belt. Right, in the Indo-Gangetic belt we have basically kings, states, so Mahajanpadas. But maybe in the Himalayan belt we have a lot of Sangha or Ganasangha who are republic. Right, and so there are clans who are technically republic. So how are they operating? So generally you can understand. Generally you can one thing is common is this is, if you remember, this republic part is tribal, right? When we were tribal, we used to elect our kings, right? So that tribal element is still there because maybe because they are on the wedge or on the verge, right? So that is the reason they didn't get assimilated. That's one thing. Second thing, they all are Kshatriya, right? So Gana Sangh has only two type of people. There is no one system as such. There are either Kshatriya or there are people who work from them, Dasa Karmakara, right? People who work for them, Karmakara, Dasa or Dasa Karmakara, right? And people servants, basically servants, and the Kshatriya. All the Kshatriya are ruling families. Why everybody is a ruling family? From all the families, let's say one person or the elder person will be taken, and together it will form one parliament. Right? They will sit in a hall. They will elect one chief, so they will have one elected chief. So technically, all are Raja. There is not one Raja, but all are Raja. There are examples like there are 7,000 Rajas somewhere. Understood? Now the first point is you need to think that are they strong? Are they very, very strong? The answer is no. Reason? It's democracy. Suppose Ajatashatru decided to attack, let's say, Shakyas or Kushinagar. Right? So what he has to do to attack Kushinagar? He has to go outside in his balcony and say, "Chalo, right? That's it. Chal bade bhai." Right? So they will go and attack here. But what if they have to decide that whether they have to defend Ajatashatru or not? Now they will be looking for all these. Somebody has gone to his Maike, somebody has gone to other city for a vacation somewhere. People are not there. Now somebody is there going to all the houses, say, "Come, we have to discuss something. Let's go." And then when some people are here, let's say program is maintained. So then people are debating, should we? Why to fight Ajatashatru? He's very strong. Let's not fight. Let's run away. Somebody saying, "No, it's about our valor. We need to fight." So because of being a democracy, they cannot be so quick in decision. Also they cannot push people to have that 1/6 of the share. Like so comparatively, they won't have that much money as well. They can't have such a strong standing army. Right? So that Chalo concept does not exist with the Gana Sangha. So if Ajatashatru decides to attack, then nobody can save them. Right? It's very tough to save them. Understood? Yeah. So Gana Sangha, and that is the reason they will be eradicated eventually. Right? They will lose because they can't fight. It is not possible to survive this way. Okay. Anyway, so technically, this way of ruling is same as we had discussed in Indus Valley civilization, called as oligarchy. Right? A group of people leading the whole, or basically ruling the whole space. So technically, it is called as oligarchy. Now, additionally, what we find over here is that in such states, unorthodox views are accepted. Unorthodox views. It is fine to have unorthodox views. Right, that's first thing. Unorthodox views are fine. Right, suppose if you say, I don't follow the Vedic scriptures and all, yeah, it's fine because there are no Brahmins. Right, there is no hierarchy. One hierarchy is not there. They are all Kshatriya. So they are technically all equal. All are kings. So there is no hierarchy as such. This is senior Kshatriya, junior Kshatriya. That kind of hierarchy is missing. And that is the reason the unorthodox view is accepted. Individual opinion is accepted. So let's look in the example and then you will understand what I'm saying. Okay, so Yeah, so we come back. So Shakyas of Kapilvastu, right? Shakyas. So Shakyas of Kapilvastu, the family to which Buddha belongs, right, are Ganasanga. So there also I said that don't call him Raja. He should be called as chief. But yes, let's say Raja, it's okay, right? But he should be called as chief. He's not. It's not a proper kingdom. Elected chief of Sakya clan. Remember, right? Yeah, so a family of Buddha. Then Mallas of Kushinagar. So Kushinagar are also a republic, right? Mallas. So Mallas are also a republic. Then Vriji, Vaishali. So Vriji is made up of 8 clans, right? It has 8 clans, and the most important clan, or basically 2 clans over here. One is Lichavi. Now you know Lichavi. Another is Natika. I hope you are able to. Yeah, read this. Fine. Yeah. So Natrikas. Do you remember Natrikas? Natrikas is Mahavir. Yeah. And Lichavi we were talking about. We're discussing that it's very, very strong. Ketak. His daughter Chillana married to Bindisara. We'll come back to it. But my point is, these are your Gansanga, the Malla of Pava, the Lichavi of Vaishali, Videha of Mithila, Moria, Koli of Ramagram, Bulli of Alakappa, Kalam of Keshaputta, Bhagga of Sushmagiri. All these are examples of Gansanga. Now, again, few technical things over here. So now you understand what I meant when I said that individual opinion is fine, right? Unorthodox views are fine. If Buddha says that I want to go out, I want to explore, and this is my theory, people believe into it. It's okay. You have that freedom, you can do it because they're not bounded by, right? They're not the part of our work. They're not bounded by the Vedic thoughts. They're not bounded by the Brahmanical thoughts because they belong to different set of philosophy. Or basically, they belong to you can say they're away from the core Janpadas or Mahajanpadas. So that is the reason they can have such kind of views or unorthodox views. Yeah. Again, technically, the hall in which people sit. Right, this is called as Sanghadhara. This hall is Sanghadhara. Right. Then there's a person called Ganapurak. Ganapurak means counting. Purak means complete. So he ensures that the counting is complete. Right. He ensures that there is quorum. So suppose there are 100 members, and at least you need, let's say hypothetically, you need 70 members to conduct the meeting. At least 70 should be there. Then he is the person who will run and find at least 70 people to sit here to make any decision. Also, there is one more thing they use is a salaka. Everybody is given one salaka. Very rudimentary form. In a rudimentary form, salaka is like a stick, right? And suppose if I say that whether you all agree to this, so you have to raise your salaka. Yes, I agree. It cannot be like this, right? It has to be agree like this. And then this salaka, there's a person called salaka ghapaka. So everybody has salaka, and this will be counted by salaka ghapaka. Right? It can also be like in salaka you have to write yes or no and then submit. Right? That is also a possibility. Right? So yeah, the salaka ghapaka. Few technical terms maybe UPSC sometimes asks word meaning. Right? So that is the reason we were discussing this. Okay. So now the Ganasanga also we have done. So we have finished both types of things. Right? We have discussed the kingdom. We have also discussed the Ganasanga. So now let's talk about the 16 Mahajanpadas. Right? 16 Mahajanpadas. So it was not like these states were the first one to come. Earlier, this whole place must have been covered with villages. Right? And gradually with the accumulation of power, with the accumulation of money, gradually these states came into picture. Right? Maybe Kashi or Banaras. Initially Banaras was the point where a lot of trade happened. And gradually, because of this accumulation of money, this place became very, very rich, and then the king became very, very rich. And this became what? This became a state. So earlier there's a concept of Mahanagars, like Shravasti, Saket, Kashi, right? Kashi. Earlier it was a Mahanagar. But then it got transformed into 16 Mahajanpadas. Right? So let's look into the story of these Mahajanpadas. Quick view. Right? UPSC has not asked till now about the story, but yes, that means it can be asked. So yes. So let's start. So first is Kashi. So Kashi. The capital of Kashi is Varanasi. Capital is Varanasi. Right, Varanasi. So Varanasi is between Varun and Asi. There are 2 rivers. One is Varun and other is Asi. Right. Another thing about Varanasi is it's a great trading center. It is known for trading of cotton textile, horses, and orange ropes. This is used by Buddhist monk. Orange color rope, Buddhist monk, also called as Kashai. Right. So Kashi is a great trading center, very, very popular trading center. Right. Also Kashi. Right. Kashi. You see, Kashi is the point associated with. Remember Parshanath, Dasharath, and Ram. Right. So it has a lot of religious connotation as well. Right. To Kashi. But later on, Kashi became part of Koshala. So now there is another state, Koshala. Let me use another map. Yeah. So we are discussing Kashi. So this is Kashi. Right. We are talking about Varanasi. And then Kashi became part of Koshala. Right. Koshala has Ayodhya. Koshala has Shravasti. Right. Koshala. So now Koshala has 2 capitals. One is Shravasti, other one is Kushavati. Not marked here, but okay. Just recognize. Right, Kushavati. Other than that, king of Koshala is Prasannajeet. Right, king of Koshala is Prasannajeet, and Prasannajeet, is the person. Now, before we talk about Prasannajeet, so I cannot say blindly that Prasannajeet is king of Kashi because we are talking about a very long era. So it's not like he can live for 100 years, 200 years. It's not possible. So what is the point we are discussing? So in the timeline we are discussing when there was Buddha or when there was Bimbisara over here. In the times of Bimbisara and his son Ajatashatru. This is the point we are discussing. So roughly around 500 BC we are discussing. So when I call, we discuss the name of a king, it is basically in this era. We are talking about this era when there is Bimbisara, when there is Jayabudha, when there is Ajatashatru. So in that era we are saying that Koshala had a king, Prasannajeet. Now Prasannajeet has a very popular story. Prasannajeet. So can you see that close to Koshala there is Shakyas? Right, Sakyas. So now to Sakyas. So what happened? that Buddha became very, very famous. So now you must have realized that you all will face, right? So you know that when you get selected, right? When you get selected, there are a lot of the marriage proposals come, right? So after Buddha became very, very famous, Prasanajit wanted to marry some princes of Sakya. Right, some princes of Sakyas, but Sakyas are very, very proud. They are what? They are Garasanga. They don't want to, they don't want their daughter to marry. They don't want their princess to marry Prasanjit. So what happened? They twinned him and they married Prasanjit to the daughter of Dasakaramkara. Remember, there are two types of people in Garasanga. One is your Kshatriya, other one is Dasakaramkara. So they married him to the daughter of Dasakaramkara. Didn't tell him what they're doing. So now Prasanjit got married to some daughter of slave, basically daughter of Dasa, and he had a son. His name is Vidhu Dhaba. Right, Vidhu Dhaba. Right, Dhaba. Maybe he was very fond of food, so maybe he was named as Dhaba. Maybe, right? Just kidding. Help you remember. Yeah, so Vidhu Dhaba. So one fine day, Vidhu Dhaba had gone to the house of his maternal grandfather, right? To Sakyas, and there he realized that I'm not the son of a princess. I'm a son of a slave, right? So he had gone back to Prasanajit. Papa, they have cheated you. I'm not the son of a princess, right? Actually my mother is a slave. And then what Prasanajit did? Prasanajit took him, has thrown him out of the house. That Vidhu Dhaba, you are not my son, right? Get out of my kingdom. So Vidhu Dhaba was thrown out of the kingdom because he was not actually the prince, was not actually the son of a princess. Then Buddha met Prasanajit. Right, Buddha met Prasanjit and said that you should not think like that, and you should think like the lineage of father is the main, is the important lineage, not the line of mother. So don't worry about the line of mother. He's your son, so he is worthy of being king. So you should not throw him out, get him back, right? And he's your son. You should accept him by open hands. So Prasanjit said, okay, Buddha is saying that's fine. So he got back Vidhu Dhaba. So when Vidhu Dhaba became king, right, he conquered Sakya, right, almost destroyed Sakyas, taking revenge of what has happened. Right, so this is a famous story associated with Sakyas and Prasanjit, his son Vidhu Dhaba. Right, okay. Also, one more important thing is that Bimbisara was also married to the princess of Koshala. We'll get back to the story, but yes, yeah, Bimbisara will be married to the princess of Koshala. So we have discussed Kashi, we have seen Koshala, right? Okay. Yeah, okay. So Koshala, do read yourself as well, right? And it's not necessary to read to see all the rivers passing by, etc., etc. I want you to read it once. I'm basically highlighting the main important thing, right? So Koshala we have discussed, right? We're talking about Prasanjit and the story. Then Ayodhya is also here. So Ayodhya is again important for Hinduism because of Bhagwan Ram, right? Because of Lord Ram, Ayodhya is important, right? Other than that, we were discussing the story of Prasanjit and Vidhu Dhaba. Right, okay, Prasanjit with Buddha, so this was our discussion, right? So yes. Other than that, Magad. So Bimbisara had also married the princes of Koshala. So Magad I'm not discussing right now because Magad will discuss full-fledged, right? So not in nutshell, but properly we will be discussing Magad. So next is Anga. So Anga you must have heard about Anga in Ramayana, right? So about Anga there are two things. So this is Anga. In Ramayana, Karna is Anga Raj Karna. Right, I don't want to mix the stories, but yes. So this is the Anga we were talking about in Mahabharata, not Ramayana, Mahabharata. Right. So Anga is technically commercially very important. Right, here from Anga, people used to sail to Southeast Asia, to Suvarnabhumi. Suvarnabhumi is Southeast Asia. So commercially, Ang is very, very important, right? And that is the reason, because it is not strong, but commercially important. Commercially, you can say strong, and that is the reason. The first thing Bimbisara will do, Bimbisara will annex Ang. So Ang will become part of Magad only. Yeah, okay, Magad. So next is Vaji or Vriji. Vaji or Vriji we have already seen. This is Vaji. Vriji, capital Vaishali. So Vaishali is the capital. We have already discussed 8 clans, Chetak and all already discussed. So let's continue. Vaji or Vriji. Then Malla of Kushinagar, again your Garasanga. See, again this is factual, you will not be able to retain everything today, but you need to revise, right? But also it is not very, very important, don't lose your sleep over it, right? But yes, as far as you can recognize, it will be helpful. Yeah, so we remember that Kushinagar is the point where Buddha, Buddha took his last breath, right? So Kushinagar. So Malla has two capitals, one is Pava and another one is Kushinagar, right? So Pava was the point where Buddha took his last meal, and then he got Mahaparinirvana in Kushinagar, right? So Malla, and see, Kushinagar is anyway famous. Then Chedi or Cheti. Now Chedi or Cheti is this one. Now this has Tripuri. It also has one more important cultural center, Arikina, also called as Elan. Right, I'm just writing it down, and later on in medieval era, basically even in ancient India, we'll find the importance of this place. Right, it's mentioned at so many places. Elan, right? Tripuri. It's not Tripura, it's Tripuri. Right now, so we were talking about Chedi. So Chedi, yeah. So Chedi capital is Suktimati. This one. Now Chedi is also popular mythologically for Shishupal. Again in Mahabharata, there's a story that Shishupal was actually challenging Bhagwan Krishna, Lord Krishna. Right, not challenging as such, but abusing Lord Krishna. Right, so it is said that he was somehow related to Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna was not, reacting. Till it was beyond his, beyond he could bear. So it's like he had abused him for 100 times, right? 100 times. And after, 100 times, when he was going to abuse for, 101st time, Lord Krishna killed him, right? So one of Shishupala, basically Shishupal Hatya, is also associated with Chedi. Now this is a mythological story. Here we are discussing your historical part, right? So again, as per Mahabharata, this happened, basically Shishupal is from Chedi, right? From Chedi area. Then Vatsa, this is important, Vatsa, this is the point, Vatsa, the capital is Kaushambi. Now, important part of Vatsa is that the king of Vatsa is Udayan. Also, when these Kuru, they could not survive at this point and they fled, right? So they had migrated to Vatsa. So it is actually the same family, the Pandava or Kaurav family, which has migrated to Vatsa, living over here, capital Kaushambi, and the king at this point is Udayan. Now Udayan is like Shah Rukh Khan, our romantic hero, Shah Rukh Khan, right? He is in love with the daughter of King of Avanti. King of Avanti is Amarishpuri, right? Chandrapradyot, very strong king, right? So he has kind of challenged Chandrapradyot, right? So now because he is in love with the daughter of Chandrapradyot, so this is a very, you can say, multiple romantic stories, and that is the reason he is the hero of multiple novels. He is the hero of Swapnavasa Datta, one of the classics by Bhasa. Right, again, he is the hero of Priyadarshika and Ratanavali, written by none other than Harshvardhan. So Harshvardhan wrote 2 novels, right? I understand you don't know where Harshvardhan comes, but I'm sure you must have heard about Harshvardhan somewhere in your life, right? So Harshvardhan is the last great Hindu king. That is how he's called, right? So Harshvardhan himself is a playwriter, and he has written 2 plays, Priyadarshika and Ratnavali, over Udayan, right? Based on Udayan. And Swapnil Vasadatta, Bhasa is again, Bhasa is of the level of Kalidasa, right? So one of the classics, Swapnil Vasadatta of Bhasa, is written. The story is also based on Udayan, right? And so yeah, so Vats is important, Udayan is important. Okay, you have to read this, right? I'm not going into this. Okay. Similarly, Sursena is self-study, but Sursena is famous for Mathura. My important part over here is that Mathura is on the confluence of this trade zone, this road, and the southern road, right? So like Uttar Patha and Dakshina Patha. So it lies on the confluence, right? It's like connected to both, and that is the reason if it is on the connection of both. So technically or commercially, it is very very important. So commercially, Mathura is important because it lies on the confluence of northern trade route and the southern trade route. Right, so Mathura. Other than that, Mathura is famous for Bhagwan Krishna, right? So Lord Krishna is from here. Yeah. Also, the king name of king is King Avantipura. He's a disciple of Buddha here. So Kuru is here. Kuru, Hastinapur, again connected to Mahabharata only, right? So again, I'm leaving to you. Panchala again not very very important. This one is Panchala. So Kuru and Panchal. If you remember, they are the initial tribes, but now they're not very very strong, right? They're not very strong, and at some places they are also referred as Gana, which is tough to believe, but at some places they're also referred as Gana. So Kuru and Panchala, right? Okay, so this you have to read. Similarly, Matsya again. This part is Matsya. Viratnagar, founder is Virat. Okay, then Asaka. Asaka is the last. Southernmost is Asaka. Southernmost. So there is only one Mahajanpad below the river Narmada. Right below the river Narmada is Asmaka or Asaka. Right, Asmaka. Capital is Pratishthan, ya Potali, ya Potana, ya Podana. All the same. Right, so Pratishthan you can remember. Pratishthan, Asmaka. And then we have Avanti, Amrishpuri, Chandrapadyot. Avanti has 2 capitals. One is Ujjain, right, Ujjain, and another one is Mahishmati. Mahishmati. As per the story, it is founded by Haihas. But the important thing about Avanti is that Avanti has its own iron ore. Right. So in this game, 2 kingdoms have their own iron ore. One is Avanti and other one is Magadha. Right. So only kingdom which can challenge Magad is Avanti. Right. Only kingdom which can challenge Magad. Where is both of them? So yeah, either Avanti has iron or Magad has iron. The only challenger to Magad is Avanti. Good part is they are far apart. Right. So that is the reason Magad is safe. Okay. So Avanti. You're talking about the king Chandrapadyot. Right. He's also contemporary of Buddha, but he's a friend of Bimbisara and enemy of son of Bimbisara. We'll get back to the story. Okay. Last Gandhara. Gandhara and Kamboj. Right. Gandhara and Kamboj. So Gandhara, this. So earlier capital was Pushkalavati, but then later it shifted to Takshila. Now Takshila is famous as great. This one is Takshila. It is famous as a great learning center. You know, people who want to do research, people who want to meditate, people who want to go in a particular stream. For example, I want to become a doctor, right? So then I'll prepare for, or basically I go to Takshila, and there I study doctorship, or basically the medical thing, and I'll become a doctor. I'll come back as a doctor, right? Similarly, if I want to study something over politics, right? So all the scholars I find, all that is the quota there, right? Like people right now who want to study for UPR, this thing, your IBJ and all, they go to quota, right? Similar to that, that this is the quota of them where people for different branch, different learning used to come here. Plus also this connects the Persia or Afghanistan to India, also in the trading route. Gandhara and its capital Takshila. Other than that, capital, yeah. Now, what will happen? Story of Kamboj and Gandhara is similar. I'll come back to this. But Kamboj, you see, Kamboj is basically known for excellent breed of horses. Right? Somewhere you will also find that it is written excellent breed of oxen, but let's not write it like this. Right? Let's say excellent breed of horses were there. Now, one thing you will find in Kamboj and Gandhara, right, that it is conquered by Persians in the 6th century BC. Kamboj. Come back to Gandhara. Conquered by the Persians in the 6th century BC. So both these kingdoms will be taken by Persians. Why? Because they are not that strong. They don't have that strong army. Don't have that kind of leaders, right, who can fight. And that is the reason that Persians will win and take over Gandhara and Kamboj. Right? Okay. So yeah, so all the 16 are done. Right? Again, I understand that you don't remember everything, but if you pinpoint, for example, I say who was Shah Khan, you tell me sir Udayan, hai na? Udayan of Vatsa, right? Vatsa, Udayan, right? Then Kashi, Koshala. Then do I have a better map? Yeah, I have. Yeah. Okay. See. So you won't remember everything, but at least you know Kashi, you know Koshala. At least you should be able to recognize. Now you know Magad, you know Ang was annexed by them. This was annexed by like this. Vriji is your clan. Malla is Kushinagar. Right? These 4 are important. Other than that, Avanti is important. Right? What's is the SRK hero? This is the southernmost, so I don't think you can forget this one. Kuru, Panchal, Matsya, Sursena, it's okay. Not that very important. That's Shedi, not very important. It's okay. If you don't remember today, it's fine. I'm interested in this zone today. Right? At least recognize Magad, Ang, and Koshala, Kashi. At least these 4 you should recognize. These 2 you will not forget Gandhara and Kamboj because they are on the sides. So Gandhara, Kamboj on the sides, Ashmaka in the bottom, and Avanti. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 are sorted like this. Similarly, Koshala, Kashi, Magad, Anga, 4 sorted like this. So 4, 4, 8. Malla, Vriji, both are clans. 10. So out of 16, you know already 10. Vatsa 11 is SRK. Out of 16, at least you know 11 right now. Right? So it's okay. It's fine. Rest of the Mahajanpadas you can consume later. Okay, so let's talk about Magadha, right? So this is Magadha. So Magadha became super powerful. So let's talk about why Magadha. No, let's not talk about why Magadha. Let's talk about who all are there in Magadha. Right? Then we'll see why Magadha. Right? So who all are there? Who is this king who says this is Magadha? Okay. So technically there are 3 dynasties, right? Who are basically the story maker for us. So 3 dynasties. One is Haryanka dynasty. One is Sisunaga. One is Nandas. And then Nandas will be defeated by Mauryas. So from here our next chapter will start, Mauryan Empire. Right? So it is Haryanka, Sisunaga, Nanda. So right now it's okay. Right? Don't try to mug it up right now. It's okay. Just focus. The first dynasty is Haryanka dynasty. Right, by the time we finish 3, you will remember all 3. Right, so Haryanka dynasty. Again. So right now, Right now our story is between 500 BC to 325 BC. Right, 500 BC to 325 BC. Let's be more precise. 550 BC, right, to 325 BC. Now, roughly till 400, roughly, right? These are rough figures. Till 400, we had Haryanka. Right, the first dynasty, Haryanka dynasty. Then for other 50 years, we had Shishunagas, and the last is Nandas, roughly from 350. Yeah, so 150 years, 50 years, and then 25 years, something like this. Some kind of progression is this, right? So yeah, so most important one initially because they are the one who started, who had initiated, right? Who expanded, first one to expand are Haryanka. Now again, for first 50 years, roughly till 400, your first king is Bimbisara. Bimbisara. Sorry, roughly till 500, right? Then for next 50 years, we have his son till roughly 450. We have Ajatshatru. Ajatshatru. And then we don't care about what happened over here. There is just one king, Udayan actually. So we are only interested in the story of Bimbisara, Ajatshatru, Udayi. Right? So Haryanka dynasty starts from Bimbisara. Again, it's not necessary that we have to mug up this 550 years, 50 years, 50 years. No, it's just that we are studying for the very first time. So just for the sake of clarity. Otherwise, it's not important. Nobody will ask you which year his reign ended, etc., etc. Also, we are not very sure. Also, these numbers are not correct. Right? These numbers are rough estimate. For example, the reign of Bimbisara ends around 492, not 500. So this is the rough estimate which will help us build up our story. Right? So the first 50 years, huge reign is Bimbisara. Let's talk about Bimbisara now. So currently we are discussing Haryanka dynasty, the first dynasty. Haryankas. So Haryankas. Now again, I have added so many other kings just to tell you that it is not only 3 kings. There are more, but we are not interested in any of them. It's just for the sake of the first discussion, and I want you to stop, go and search who else is there. Right? So I don't want you to do that, and that is the reason I have added in the slides, but not at all important, not at all required. Okay, so before we start, have a look over here. So this part is basically core Magadha. Core Magadha. Right? And then this much expansion was done by Haryanka. Right? Only this much. Nothing else, only this much. But again, a major expansion. Somebody who defeated Avanti. And I'll be like, he must be a great person. Right? So he must have something, he must be, very strong. So the person who has defeated, or the dynasty who has defeated Avanti is Shishunagas. Haryanka could not expand beyond this. Shishunagas. Again, let's get back to Haryanka now. We are going to talk about Bimbisara. Bimbisara. Recently we had this movie Bimbisara. It has nothing to do with Bimbisara, right? Don't go and watch. I just use the wallpaper. Okay, so now Bimbisara. Now let's see movie Bimbisara, right? Okay, so now the Bimbisara is basically known for 2 things. Bimbisara. First thing, he had annexed Anga. Right? Remember? So he annexed Anga and placed under his son Ajatshatru. Right? So first important thing which he did, or the most important thing related to war or related to annexation. So the only annexation he had done is Anga. That's it. Right? Second thing which he had done in his life is marriage. Right? So he married princess of Koshala. Right? So he married Kosala Devi. Kosala Devi. Kosala Devi is technically sister of Prasanjit. Remember Prasanjit, Vidurhava? Right? So she is Kosala princess. Now, with her, she brought a lot of dowry. In dowry, she brought the whole Kashi itself. Right? Kashi's revenue was 1 lakh coins. Great deal, right? Yeah. So the other, you can say the achievement of Bimbisara was his marriage to Koshala Devi, his marriage to the sister of Prasanjit. Now this also tells us a lot many other things. For example, first thing we got to know that dowry was also there at that time, right? And people used to give dowry to the daughters or sisters, basically from the bride side. Right. Other thing we got to know that you can also give whole territory in dowry. Possible to donate like this. That's another thing. Next, there was proper collection of revenue, right? What it tells you that there was collection of revenue. You can actually put in numbers that this much is the revenue of Kashi. That shows what? There is data collection, there is proper records, and that's why you are able to tell that there is 1 lakh coins coming as revenue from Kashi. What's the next thing? This also tells us that revenue is being collected in kind. Coins are usage. Even kings are, you can say, using coins. And this actually supports our previous theory. Right? And whatever we have read about the state, and this also supports that theory. Yeah, coinage is prevalent. Even taxes are being collected in the cash form. Right? So yeah, the 1 lakh coins. So they are getting dowry like this. So now this is a huge achievement for Bimbisara. Another marriage which he did was with, remember, second wife, Chellana. Chellana is sister of whom? Chetak. Chetak is Lichavi princess. Lichavi prince technically. I'm not sister, daughter. Daughter of Chetak. Right? And he's cousin of Vardhaman Mahavir, remember? Yeah. But most importantly, Chetak is also very, very strong. Having Chetak with you, having Vaishali with you, right? Lichavi of Vaishali, right? So they are the Lichavis of Vaishali. Right? And third marriage he had was with Madra clan, Punjab side, with Chema. Right? She's from Madra clan. She's from Punjab side. Right? So, okay, again. So let's get back to the map. Which map? Not this one. Yeah, this one. Okay, so now you see Magad. So Magad has done what? He has annexed Anga. Right? Has matrimonial relationship with Kosala. Got Kashi in dowry. Right? Has matrimonial relationship with Vaji as well. Understood? So he had awesome political influence. So Bimbisara had created this whole sphere, and he becomes very, very important, right? Like this. Right? Again. Let me show you Madra as well. Wait. Madra is here. Yeah, this one. Madra. So he had this connection as well, right? Connected to Madra. Also friendship with Gandhara. Also friendship with Avanti. Right? So let's talk about friendship with Avanti. Wait. The same diagram is here. From here also you can. Right. Now one thing more. It is actually son of Pillana, Ajatashatru. Ajatashatru is the son of Pillana. Okay. So other than that, Avanti. So Avanti was the only rival, right? Anyone who could challenge Magad was Avanti. So Chandrapradyot, you are Amrishpuri, right? Amrishpuri was the enemy of Magad. But they both realized that it is useless to fight. Also, what happened? Chandrapradyot was suffering from jaundice, right? And what happened? Bimbisara had a doctor, physician. His name was Jivaka. Again, passed out from Takshila Gandhara, right? From straight from Gandhara Medical University. So he was from Takshila Gandhara Medical University. He was sent to Chandrapradyot, and there he had gone and cured him. So Chandrapradyot felt very good. So initially they both were enemy, but then they fell in love. Basically, they fell in friendship, right? Yeah. So now Chandrapradyot is also his friend. So you can understand the whole influence he has created. Right? He has great friends. Also, we have already discussed Buddha. Right? He was friend with Buddha. He's also connected with Lord Mahavir. So yeah. So he has supported both Lord Mahavir and Buddha as well. Then what happened? Next is his son. So he had ruled for almost 50 years. Right? He had ruled almost for 50 years, and then his son Ajatashatru. Right, Ajatashatru, he was getting impatient. My father is still ruling. Right, I'm also aging now. I should become king. So he was becoming desperate. And in this desperation, what he did, he kept his father in the cell. Right, he imprisoned him and let him to starve. And he wanted him to be, he wanted him to die. Right, so he placed him in the dungeon, in the cell, and now he wanted him to basically die. And now he became king. And that is the reason Ajatashatru is called as a Pitrahanta. Right, Pitrahanta, somebody who killed his own father. Right, so yeah, that is the reason Ajatashatru is famous in negative connotation. Also, Ajatashatru is known for aggressive policy of expansion. He is somebody who killed his own father. You can understand he will not care about any relationship. Right. So now, what will happen? Kashi and Koshala. So Kashi, which was part of their own kingdom, they will fight against him. But Ajatashatru will win, and he will get Kashi back. Right. So one fight is with Kashi. Okay. Yeah. So even he will marry the daughter Vajira. Right. So Koshala, from Koshala, he will also get one princess. So he will also have a matrimonial alliance with Koshala after he had defeated Koshala. Right. So he still has Kashi. The first fight is, so basically there are few rivalries. So Ajatashatru versus Koshala. Who won? Ajatashatru. He got back Kashi. So Koshala and Kashi also you can write. Second is Avanti. Right. So he realized that he cannot fight Avanti. Right. So what he did, he started fortification. He will not fight Avanti, but he will start fortification. Because still Chandrapradyot is there, and it's tough to defeat, so it is not possible. So he has infuriated Avanti, and he will start fortification to ensure that he is not defeated by Avanti. So this has no result. Third is Vaishali. Vaishali, if you realize, Vaishali is the Maika of Ajatashatru's mother. Technically, Vaishali is Nanihal. Nanihal, you understand? Maternal grandparents live there. Right. It is of Chetak. Chetak is technically what? His grandfather. Right, but you can't expect that from Ajatashatru. Ajatashatru actually has this what you say, this rath, right? This chariot he has. It's not like I have used this photo for show, but this is true, right? He has these he has these weapons. Let me show you where. Yeah, here. Yeah. So he has both. This weapon, this is called as Ratha Musal. So he has Ratha Musal. He also have Mahashila Kantika. Right. Those who have not seen Bahubali, right? I must explain that this is a chariot, and this chariot has a shaft in front, and the shaft has blade. Right. So as the chariot moves, that blade will rotate and kill people in front. Right. I'm assuming that you must have seen Bahubali. So this has been used in Bahubali as well. Right. So yeah, the Ratha Musal and Mahashila Kantika. So he had used all this. Again. So he had used all that weapon along with a lot of Kootaniti strategy. And it took him around 16 years to destroy Vaishali. Right. But he had destroyed Vaishali. He had that, you can say, anger against Vaishali because they had supported Koshala. And not it's not like they have supported Koshala, like provided all the support, money, army. No, it was a very minor support. It could have been neglected, but no. He is no respecter of relationship. He will destroy Vaishali as well. So this was Ajatashatru. Right, next. Other than that, Ajatashatru is famous for what? Ajatashatru is famous for, if you remember, he is the one who conducted the first Buddhist council. I'm sorry. Okay. First Buddhist council. Initially, he had patronized Jainism, but then he also patronized Buddhism. Right, so first Buddhist council he had conducted, if you remember. Right, where what happened? Where your Sutta Pitaka, what book was written? Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka, all this was written there. Okay, so first Buddhist council. Okay, so let's go ahead. Last point. One more thing is associated with it. Not only first Buddhist council, but also he participated in, remember, siege of Kushinagar. When Buddha died, people were fighting for the relics. He also, participated in this fight, siege of Kushinagar. And then he also has erected one stupa at Rajgir. The stupa at Rajgir. Right, so all these things are associated with Ajatashatru. Okay, let's go ahead. The third king is Udayin. Yeah, so Udayin. So I'm using the reference, Uday Bhai, right? Uday Bhai who is saying Patna Chaloge. Right, why? Because Udayin is famous because he had shifted the capital to Pataliputra. Only contribution we had from Udayin is shifting capital to Pataliputra. That's it. So that is the reason we take the name of Udayin. Otherwise, we should have missed him as well. Right, and so now he has created a new capital, Pataliputra. So Pataliputra will become important center later on, but right now Pataliputra is there. So Rajgir, and close to Rajgir there is Pataliputra. So we have finished the first dynasty, Haryana dynasty. I'll take like 10-15 minutes more. Let's finish the dynasties at least. Right, okay, then we'll have the discussion. So Haryana dynasty, 3 kings, Bimbisara, Ajatashatru, Uday. Now Shishunagas. Now what happened? Shishunaga was ruling at Banaras. He was a governor at Banaras. Now people found that the princes, or basically the kings over here, were not at all ethical. They were killing their own father. Rising by killing father was not a good thing. So what the ministers did? Ministers removed the Haryana dynasty and asked Shishunaga to become king of Magadha. and that's how he came into power, right? So he became king of Magha. So Shishunaga. Now, only contribution of Shishunaga, right, is they defeated. So this part was anyway there. They defeated Avanti. So yeah, the Shishunaga. Yeah. So earlier he was at Viceroy. So now they will have capital in Rajgir and then later Patliputra. There is one more capital at Vaishali now. Now see, so one important center is Rajgir. Now the capital is Patliputra, but secondary capital at Vaishali because Ajatshatru had destroyed Vaishali. So Vaishali is also under their command only. Plus Kashi was anyway under their command, right? So by the time Ajatshatru left, so basically Haryanka left. This whole kingdom was of Haryanka. So when Shishunaga will come, so he will have like 3 important centers: one Rajgir, one Patliputra, one Vaishali. All 3 are important under Shishunaga. Not much story. Only important part is he defeated Avanti as well. The biggest achievement of Shishunaga is that they defeated Avanti. Now the second king after Shishunaga is Kakavali, Kalashoka. Now only one important thing you need to remember over here is second Buddhist council. Remember we were talking about Mahasanghikas and Sthavirvadins. Right? They were more liberals. Eventually they will become Mahayana. They will become Hinayana. Right, so the second council, when the first time the doubt happened, obviously the new thought came in, Mahasanghikas came in, right? So for the very first time when this happened, this second council was conducted under Kalashoka, and now you can understand that this is at Vaishali, right? So Vaishali is a possibility now because Vaishali is part of Magha kingdom, right? So this was Shishunaga. That's it. There is no other contribution. So Haryanka dynasty done, Shishunaga done. Okay. So again, Bindisara, Ajatshatru, Udayin. Bindisara known for marriage alliances and annexation of Anga. Right? Ajatshatru known for Kashi Koshala and Vaishali. Other than that, Buddhist council, siege of Kushinagar, etc. Stupa. Right? And plus Jainism, supported Jainism. Udayin is known for shifting capital to Patliputra. Right? Second, Shishunaga. Shishunaga is known for adding Avanti to the capital. Avanti. And Kalashoka or Kakavali is known for what? Second council. Yeah, let's come to Nandas. Now, Nandas. So Kalashoka. Okay, coming back. Just a second. Okay, so Kalashoka had so many sons. It is said that Kalashoka had like 10 sons. Right, and one son was Mahanandi, with a slave girl, right? Slave girl or Shudra. They had a son whose name is Mahapadmananda, and he founded the next dynasty, which is Nanda dynasty, right? Mahapadmananda. Now, this is the first dynasty which is non-Kshatriya. Right, this is a non-Kshatriya dynasty. Why? We realize because the mother was some dasa or some slave. So they will have all the negative connotation. So later books have given them all the negative connotation. For example, non-Kshatriya dynasty, they have called them adharmika. Somebody who is adharmi, the person who does not follow dharma. Anantakul, we don't know the lineage. Right? We're not very sure he is coming from Mahanandin only. Right? These are legends, these are stories. Right? So he's also called as Anantakul, unknown lineage. But he has one of the strongest army. He's also called as Ugrasena. Somebody has huge army, very big army. Right? Ugrasen. And Ugrasen because he had Ugrasen will defeat everyone. He's also called a destroyer of all the Kshatriyas. He will kill everyone. So whosoever is there, whether it is Panchal, Kasi, Haiha, Kalinga, Asmaka, Kuru, Maithila, all the Mahajampadas will be defeated by Mahapadmananda. Right? So we have a warrior now. We have a strong person, Mahapadmananda, very strong leader. He will be called as Ekarupt, right? Who had defeated all the rulers. Right? So whatever you call him, Adharmika, Anantakul, etc. But he's a warrior. He has defeated all the kingdoms. He has big army, very big army. And we are calling him Ugrasena. Son of Chatrantaka. So this is the title given to him. Son of Chatrantaka, who killed all the Kshatriyas, uprooter of the Kshatriya. Understood? Even he had defeated Odisha. Kaling is added to Magad, and there was some jail king, right? So he got the Hathi Gufa inscription later on. So the Khavilna king later on writes about Mahapadmananda that we were defeated by Mahapadmananda. Right? He has even acquired Kashala, etc. Right? Also, such big army must be having great taxation system, amazing taxation system. So he had good methods of collection of taxes. Plus agricultural surplus is required. So he has good canal irrigation as well. He has built canal irrigation. Now see the map. Right? This is the all Mahajampadas gone. It's all what now? It is all Nanda Empire. Everything is Nanda now. Mahapadmananda. Are getting one biggest empire till now, Nanda Empire. Roughly started around 350 BC. Right, so Mahapadmananda will change the whole game. Right, so now I don't think you will ever forget Nanda. So now it's very obvious: Haryanka, Shishunaga, and then Nanda. So now you have a great warrior. You saw his army and everything. You realize that he has a great administration, collection of taxes, etc. Plus he has also built canals for irrigation, so that agricultural surplus is there. It's boosted, and this empire or this fight can be survived. Right, can be sustained. And he has all the Mahajampalas under him. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But then the last king of this lineage, the last king is Dhanananda. So the first king is super awesome. He's like Mahapadmananda is like the super warrior, right? But the last king, Dhanananda, his name is Dhanananda. So Dhan is there, money is there, Anand means fun is there, right? So it's all about luxury. So for him it is all about luxury. Right? It's all about luxury. Only what matters to him is what is there in food today and who is dancing today. Right? So this is something which matters to him. But he has inherited a great empire. He has inherited a huge empire. Right? So he will be having titles like Agrimes, Zandrames. Why? Greeks are writing about him. Because when Dhananand is there, Dhananand, and this is the empire of Dhananand, at this point, there is attack of Alexander. And they return from here. Why? Because one of the reasons given behind the return is that there is a huge army of Gangaridai. There is a huge army of, basically Greek writers will write about him. Greek writers will tell us that 1 lakh infantry, these many elephants, these many horses, like that. Right, so Greek writers will come tell us, and that is the reason he has such Greek names, Agrimes and Rames. Now, you'll say, sir, why he's called as Agrimes or Zandamis? Reason, they are Greek, right? So suppose you are Greek and you call a common man, let's come here. Tell me who is the king of Magad? I say, sir, Dhanananda, right? So he will not be able to understand. Okay, what Dhanananda? They will create their own spelling, right? So they don't, because the accent is different, right? They don't understand what I'm trying to say or what I'm trying to tell him, right? So whatever they will listen, they will make their own spellings, right? So this is like common. So for example, if I tell you ki my name is Amit Radhata, so what spelling they will make? They will write Amit Rochates. This will happen with Bindusara. Right, so this is common, to make mistakes in spelling because there is some difference in accent. Right, Agrimes or Zandamis type of name will be there. Yes, huge army, and this time Alexander came, they also realized that there is a huge army. Of course, nobody writes like, there is huge army, will not go there, they'll kill us. No, nobody writes like that. So of course, these Greek writers is not writing ki, we are afraid and we are going back. Of course, they will say ki, mummy ki yaad aa rahi, wapas ja rahe. Right, or basically there is some other excuse or something. Ki, our soldiers are homesick. The soldiers are homesick, so we need to go back. So that kind of excuses we'll have over here. So yeah, so huge army, advent of Alexander into his time. Also, he's also known for some measurement unit, brought forward by him, called as Nando Prakarani. Otherwise, he's arrogant, he's a very oppressive ruler, right? Very heavy taxes, greed, exploitation, not at all a good ruler, and he's the one who will be defeated by Chandragupta Maurya. And from here, our modern dynasty will start, right? So yeah, so this is about army we were discussing. So yes, so Chandragupta Maurya, new story will start from here. Now the question arises: why is Magad so strong? Why the expansion is of Magad only? Right? So there are two reasons behind it. Why Magad? Almost done. It's okay. 5 minutes more. 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. Why Magad? So two major reasons. Whenever there is a rise or decline, we must always blame, first of all, leadership, or we must always give credit to leadership. So this rise of Magad is dependent upon the leadership of Bimbisara, Ajatashatru, and Nanda, right? Mahapadma Nanda. So first is leadership. There are people who took this command, basically who took this task and has grown. Second reason which can give is geography. Now, why geography? Okay, we found elephants over here, and this made our army very strong. Magad army very strong. Second, a lot of rivers over here, right? Ganga, then Son, and everywhere. There's so many rivers, right? So now transport will be very easy. Even you can send army very quickly, right? From one place to another place, you can send the army. So army will become very mobile and then can go and attack. What else? You will also get timber. But before that, let's talk about Rajgir. Rajgir is surrounded by 5 hills. Plus, in between they made some walls. So overall, Rajgir is safe, fortified. Second capital, Patliputra. Patliputra is surrounded by rivers. So technically, it's called as Jaladurga. Nobody can attack Patliputra. So both the capitals are geographically, protected. It's tough to attack the capital of Magad. Then very important, what? Iron ore from Chotanagpur plateau. Then we can write so many other things. For example, timber. So much forest, we get timber. We can actually do a lot of construction. We can make boats. We can go make spears and all. Right. So yes, so all these things are supportive of Magad, and that is the reason that Magad will grow. But the most important part is leadership. Leadership is the game changer. Right. Okay. So I'll not take much of your time. Okay. So yeah. So coming back, let us go back to yeah. So again, so now you recognize Bimbisara, Ajatashatru line. You also recognize Sisunaga who conquered Avanti. Now you also recognize Kakabai no Kalashoka who conducted second council, and you very well recognize Nanda, Mahapadma Nanda, the great warrior. Dhanananda who is into fun, who is into basically luxury, right? And then our other story start from here. How Dhanananda was defeated by Chandragupta Maurya. The next story is Dhanananda versus Chandragupta Maurya. But there is one more story in between. Okay. So you have class at 8. Okay, I'm just leaving. The next topic is this foreign invasion. Right, so we'll talk about Achaemenid Empire next, along with Alexander. Yeah, okay, guys. So please go ahead with the other class if there is another class. Right, but how come you have class at this time? Anyway, it's okay. So let's meet again tomorrow, or no, not tomorrow, on Monday. Right, and please do give this a reading. ऐसे मजे नहीं ले रहे सर में क्लास है ना 8 बजे इस साल को कुछ बता दो नहीं क्या बता okay guys, yeah, please go ahead. Okay, thanks a lot, bye, take care, good day, good night, bye, and please do revise, bye.